Hello guys, today I will show you a typical big room techno style of mastering chain. I have a track in front of me that I'm going to solo and self-release, and I will explain the chain and why I use all the plugins. So let's hear the drop. First of all, I have a Pro Q4 and Pro Q4 in 20 Hz low cut, and I made a dynamic boost on 10k Hz. I always use linear and medium, low, or sometimes high processing in the master. Next, I have this analog style mix box. It has a saturator on. I play with this mode every time I like something else. You have to be very careful. For example, this master 12 dB or something gives a lot more volume to the track, so you need to play with the gains and outputs. For this particular track I used half a dB on the input and lowered half a dB on the output. Next I use a bass compressor just for gluing the track. Minimum release and maximum attack. I didn't use the high pass, and 4 dB of makeup with 4:1 ratio, and I adjusted the threshold. This way I am cutting 4 decibels from the compressor. Next I use a space control for widening the track. In this particular example I use linear and true phase with full mid and side activated, and then I solo each band, for example the lows, and I made them full mono using the width to 0, and then going up to the frequency scale I boosted just a little bit the width, and as the frequencies go higher I tend to widening the track a little bit more, using the phase limiter very carefully and subtly. Of course, this meter right here helps us. This is a little bit controversial because I haven't seen a lot of YouTube tutorials to do that. I use OTT for mastering with time at 30% and the depth on 20. For this track I could go higher on the depth. I really like how it's shaping the track. Maybe I will leave it somewhere there about 20 to 25. Then ozone with low end focus, just half a dB controlling all the low frequencies. Maximizer on IRC for transient, 2 dBs on the output, and the character on fast and loud. I never leave the output to 0, sometimes I go minus 0.3 because some of the peaks of the kicks and the leads may overpass 0 dBs, and this way we have a digital distortion and we don't like that. Also I noticed that the stereo independence on 100% gives the track way better air. You will see what I mean using this meter right here. As you can see, when the stereo independence is on 0, the limiter sees the track differently and it doesn't react to the left and the right channel. It reacts to the signal as a whole, and I really like to use the stereo independent on 100. This way we get different limiting on left and right channel. Of course, it's not actually left and right. In this example, it's transient and sustained. It's way deeper than I understand. I realized that maybe I can extract a little bit more volume on the output of the ozone. Next, I have like 2 very simple plugins, the volume and the enhancer for automations on the playlist itself, but it doesn't matter. It's a couple of dBs lower and higher in some parts of the track for the illusion. And the final limiter, invisible limiter, I just pushed 3 dBs inside and I used oversampling on 4 and output gain on 0.30.3 dBs. And usually I tend to leave the gain reduction maximum at 3. Sometimes I pass it, I pass to 4.5, but if I start gaining 5 or 6 dBs of reduction, I separate the limiters and make use of 2 limiters instead of 1. This way I can push the track a little louder and avoid the distortion for a little bit, because eventually if I push way too much gain on these limiters I will get distortion. And let's see where we're hitting in terms of loudness.
Lights in the sky got me feeling out of space.
Actually, I could easily push a little bit more now that I see it.
Lights in the sky.
Yes, probably we would be somewhere around here, maybe half a dB lower at maximum.
Lights in the sky got me feeling out of space.
Of course, something very important to notice is that any of my tracks aren't clipping. Everything is on healthy level, as you can see here.
Lights in the sky got me feeling out of space.
This way I can use the maximum headroom in order for me to push the track as loud as it has to be. I aim for -6, -7 LUFS on integrated, and of course on shorter maybe I get a little higher on -0.5, -5.5 or something. That was the video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one.